well as that one did, we are in for a great holiday season.
Oh yeah, we've got a few more lined up, and I'll look around and see if I can find any more open tables.
Well, geez, yeah. You just tell me where and when. The only thing I have to do lately is make YouTube videos.
Well, I'll have a look at my schedule, and we can talk about it later.
Sarah? Sarah?
24 hours, not much change in temperature. A slight atmospheric disturbance of undetermined origin is reported over Nova Scotia, causing a low-pressure area to move down rather rapidly over the northeastern states, bringing a forecast of rain accompanied by winds of light gale force. Maximum temperature 66, minimum 48. This weather report comes to you from the Government Weather Bureau. We take you now to the Meridian Room in the Hotel Park Plaza in downtown New York, where you will be entertained by the music of Raymond Raquello and his orchestra.
To draw, what to draw, what the heck?
Do not be afraid, human, for we come in pieces.
You mean you come in peace?
That too, but also quite literally in pieces.
Oh my gosh, she's got an arm off.
We are Crochetlians, and we come from the planet Yarn. We were vacationing on your planet to celebrate Halloween when we seem to have had a little mishap. We are fans of your YouTube channel, so we know you are proficient in the ways of medical science for our people. We were hoping you might help us, human.
I'm not proficient in that. Are you sure you're watching the right YouTube channel?
Don't be silly, human. We've seen the things you can make with yarn and a crochet hook.
Oh, you mean crochet. Yes, Yes, I can definitely help you with that.
We would love it if you would teach us some basic crochet stitches so we may use them in the future ourselves.
Alright, so in the name of helping our new friends, the Crochet-aliens, we're going to learn a few basic crochet stitches. And you can use these stitches to make lots of projects. One of those things that you can make is a dishcloth. That is what I'm going to make today. There's nothing particularly Halloween themed about a dishcloth. The only thing I've got going for me right now is that my yarn is candy corn colored. So, right here, this is a cotton ball of worsted weight yarn. Pretty par for the course. I'm also going to be using a 5mm crochet hook. This is just what I happen to be using. It's purple and it's a decent enough size for you to see on the camera. So that's what I'm going to use. Now, if you're doing something like a dishcloth or like something flat, like a scarf, anything of that sort of nature, you're probably going to want to start with a slip knot. And I mean, I just kind of did that. It is that easy once you've done it a million times. But for anyone who's not done that before, I'm going to do it rather slowly. I'm going to put the hook down, and I'm going to take my yarn as such and twist it and pull the other part of the yarn through the loop. That's where the crochet hook's going to go. And you're going to pull it tight. And you have a slip knot on your crochet hook. Now that's just how I do it. I'm sure there's other videos out there that will also show you how to do it, and maybe they can explain it better too. But maybe the way I've done it will help somebody. In the spirit of making a dishcloth, once you've got your slip knot on your hook, you're going to start by making a chain. And a chain is exactly how it sounds. It's a bunch of loops that form a chain. So, from your starting point, you're going to wrap your yarn around your crochet hook and pull it through. And that is a chain of 1. So if something says, and by something I mean a pattern, if it says chain 32, well, you're going to do that 32 times. So let's do that 32 times around the hook and through the loop. Around the hook. And if you need to do it like this, pull it through the loop, that's no problem either. So there's a chain of 1, 2, 3. You can see them. And so I'm just going to make 32 total. All right, so there we have a chain of 32. So from this point, we're actually going to chain 1 more. And this chain of 1 is kind of going to count as our first stitch on the next row. So we're kind of going to make this dishcloth in a square, working like this. Hopefully that makes sense. If it doesn't, hopefully it will eventually. Trust me. So we're going to chain 1 more. And now we're going to start on row 2, where we're going to be doing what is called a single crochet stitch. We're going to go back into the last loop. So we got something looking like this. So we had our 1 loop on the hook, and then we're going to stick the hoop back into the loop prior and pull the yarn through. meaning now that there's 2 loops on the hook. Now, 2 isn't good enough. We're gonna wrap the yarn, around. So now there's 3. And we're gonna pull this last one through the first 2. Now, if you can't just pull it, you might drop your yarn. It happens, I still do. It's a very dexterous task you need to perform with your fingers here. So if you need to pick those loops up in order to pull it through, that's fine too. Let's do that again. We have 1 loop on the hook. We're gonna go back to the next loop, and we're gonna keep working our way back down the chain. So there's 1, through the next loop, 2 loops. 2's not good enough. Wrap the rope around again, wrap the yarn around again, and pull through. So that's our first 2 single crochets in row 2. One more time. You can see that's the loop where I went in last time. So we move 1 down into that loop. Pull the yarn through, 2 loops. We need a 3rd, and that 3rd goes through the first 2. Chain, back through, pull through, 1 more, and back down to 1. So as you can see, we've already started making our 2nd row. And back from whence we came, I'm gonna crochet through this whole row here, and then we'll do another row change. Right here, I'm about to do the last single crochet in row 2. So just to reiterate, stick that crochet hook in through that stitch, pull your yarn through, 2 loops on the hook, then becomes 3 as you wrap your yarn around your hook, and pull that yarn through the first 2 loops. So there's 2 completed rows. So now what we're going to do is to start row 3, chain 1, and we're going to flip our work, and we are going to go back doing the same thing from whence we came. So you can really see that any flat square can be achieved this way, or rectangle. You're going to keep going, and eventually when you get a square, you're going to have yourself a dishcloth. If you wanted to keep going, you could make yourself a scarf. I love starting with something like a dishcloth because the tension, how tight you're wrapping your yarn around the hook doesn't matter as much. And when you're trying to make a sweater, the tension of your stitches does matter. Otherwise you'll end up with something wonky. But when you're just starting out, a dishcloth can be wonky. A clean dishcloth's a clean dishcloth, so it doesn't have to be beautiful, it just has to get the job done, which is why that's where I started when I wanted to learn how to crochet. This will eventually turn into something like this. And I used a similar style ball of yarn, variegated, so as you use it, it changes colors along the way. This one goes back and forth between white and yellow and orange. This one was pink at one time. This cloth here is well loved. I promise you it works. But through going down here is where I would have started, and then back and forth up the dishcloth. There, so I've just finished row 3, and you can see how things are taking shape. The variegated ball of yarn changing colors kind of is fun. I don't have to worry about changing colors, and it's more pretty or intricate than if it was just one solid color. A little more fun to look at. I mean, if you gotta do dishes, at least you can have a pretty cloth, right? Now, instead of making you guys watch me crochet a whole dishcloth, because that can get a little redundant, I'm going to show you how to fasten off once you've finished your dishcloth. So assuming we're at the end, let's say this is the last row, I already have my square, I'm happy with how it is. All you're going to do is cut your yarn and pull that through that loop as you were doing. And that's gonna fasten off. So your work wouldn't come apart. And then you can just take these loose ends and weave them back into the dishcloth. As you can see here, I've taken like a yarn needle and weave them back in through. If you don't have a needle to weave your ends through, you can just use your crochet hook. It takes me a little longer to do it this way, but hey, it works. So just by bringing the end back through. I'm sorry if you can hear my dog scratching in the background. This is why I usually do voiceover and not real time. You can see eventually the tail will hide itself.
I feel much better. We appreciate you, human.
Happy to help.
This has been great and all, but it's time to wipe your memory.
What? I should really learn how to use this someday.